What's up, everyone? I'm Vanessa, and today I want to talk about mythology and do my makeup at the same time while taking you on this journey. Mythology has always fascinated me, and I love learning about the ancient world. So I wanted to start with Greek mythology because it is my favorite. So basically, what is Greek mythology? Greek mythology began over 1,000 years ago as oral traditions. It was the Greeks' religion. They used it to understand and explain the world around them. So it started with Chaos, who was a mass of nothingness. And then there was Gaia, created by Chaos, and she is Mother Earth. And after some time, Gaia got lonely. And so she created Uranus, her son and her husband, and he is basically the sky. So she's the world, he's the sky. And together they created two different creatures. They created the Titans and the Hecatoncheires. The Titans were similar to gods, but different. They were sometimes referred to as gods, but they were before the gods. They were first. They were the gods' parents, basically. They were human-like and all different by name. And then the Hecatoncheires. The Hecatoncheires were a race of monsters with 100 hands and 50 heads. And if you ask me, that's pretty creepy. Pretty scary. So, as all gods and titans and all these creatures, they get power hungry. So one day, one of the titans, Kronos, he was like, I'm in charge now. You can't tell me what to do anymore. So he decided he was going to overthrow his father, Uranus. So he castrated his body and threw his body into the sea. And this created two creatures, the Furies, which were three women who punished those who broke all natural laws. And they resided in the underworld. And the other creatures were the Gargantuans, bloodthirsty giants. So, Kronos is, in charge, doing his thing, and his mother, Gaia, grew tired of him, and so she became determined to overthrow him. Also, so did his wife, Rhea, which was also his sister. And incest is a theme in mythology. I mean, they had nobody else to procreate with, so they shacked up with their sister, their brother, their mother, their grandma, their aunt, their uncle, their brother, their dad. That's what they did. So Rhea grew tired of him, but not because she was angry, but because every single time she gave birth, Kronos just ate the baby. Just gobbled that baby right up. Because there was a prophecy that said that one day one of his children would overthrow him, and he could not have that. He had to be in power forever. So Rhea, the next time she was pregnant, after 5 pregnancies, she was like, I am done. I am over this. So she came up with a plan. She arranged that the child would be taken to Mount Ida off the island of Crete, so that the child would live and be raised far away, so the child also would be able to fulfill the prophecy. In place of the child, she gave him a rock disguised as a baby. And if you ask me, he's an idiot. Because How can you not tell the difference between a rock and a baby, bro? It just shows how stupid they are. So he just gobbled up this rock and was like, yummy baby. When are you going to feed me another one? And so the plan worked. The child was brought to Crete and he was named Zeus. Once Zeus was strong enough, and with the help of his mother Rhea, he snuck up to Kronos and forced him to vomit up all 5 of his siblings. Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia. And together with the other titans that were on their side, they overthrew Kronos in a war known as Titanomachy. And so after this war was over, Zeus and his siblings went up to Mount Olympus and made it their home. And since Mount Olympus was named Mount Olympus, this gave them the name the Olympians. There are always the original 6, but there are 12 in total. So after some time, the Olympians got a little cozy with each other, and they spawned children, the other 6 Olympians. And we'll go into detail about those when I talk about the Olympians and their little backstory and stuff. So there are gods, heroes, mortals, and monsters. There are many gods. There is a god and minor for everything. Dusk, dawn, poetry, anything and everything that you can think of, there was a god for it. The ones that really truly mattered were the Olympians, and they definitely made their presence known. They are in almost every single story to do with Greek mythology, whether that be a story about a mortal, a monster, a hero. The Olympians are in that story, and they are probably the ones that caused the problems. They were the deities who were human-like, but they were not mortal. So they could not die, but they weren't gods. And a lot of characters in Greek mythology fall under this category. Then there were the Titans that the Olympians imprisoned with Kronos. And let's not forget about the heroes, who were the children of the gods with epic and famous stories. Then there were the mortals, the humans, that the gods loved to use as their little playthings. For example, being the mother of their children, they would just do whatever they wanted to the mortals. And then last, the non-human creatures and the monsters. Sometimes the most memorable creatures in Greek mythology. And we'll go into every detail about every category, but we're going to start with the Olympians first. They were the most powerful gods. There were always 12, and the 12 varied on the time period and the source. And they consisted of the OG siblings, Zeus, Poseidon, Hera, Hades, Demeter, and Hestia. Later, the children of the original gods joined the Olympians. Athena, Apollo, and Artemis. Those are the twins, and and Hermes, and they are the children of Zeus. And then there is Ares, the child of both Hera and Zeus. Aphrodite, the child of Zeus and Ornos. And a Hephaestus. And that is the child of Hera. Last to join was Dionysus, replacing Hestia. And that is the child of Zeus, an immortal woman. After the Olympians defeated Kronos, Zeus tasked the other gods to create the world in which we know today. From the bodies of water to the masses of land to the sky, everything on the earth the gods created. And since they created everything on the earth, they used it as their own little playground. From storms to plagues to falling in love with the humans, they only did all this because it made them feel like they had more power and control. So if they got bored, they just decided they were gonna fuck shit up on Earth. And they did. All the time. Every single time. So, we're going to go into the Olympians individually. So, we're going to start with Zeus. The almighty Zeus. Zeus is considered to be the king and father of the gods. He controlled the sky, the weather, and destiny. He got his way every single time, and if you got in Zeus's way, you better run, because he would destroy you, or do anything and everything to destroy you. He liked to spend his time pinning the other gods against one another. He also would often rape women, goddess nymphs, and sometimes even men to make himself feel even more powerful. And this is a trend. A lot of gods do this, but Zeus was the worst. He did it so often. He was so unfaithful to his wife, Hera. Poor Hera. Hera, his sister, and his wife. He could not keep it in his pants. If he saw something, he saw a woman, he was getting it by any means possible. That being said, Zeus fathered many, many children. Many children. He was a hoe. He would often take the form of different beings to trick his victims when he would assault them. Some of the famous children that he fathered were the 9 muses: Persephone, Ares, Apollo, Artemis, Athena, Hermes, Heracles, and that's just a handful. There are many, many more, which I will go into detail on most all of them. His weapon of choice was the thunderbolts, and some symbols seen as omens for Zeus were bulls and eagles, and sometimes he would take the form of these to trick people and carry them away if he was an eagle, or when he was in the form of a bull, trick women to falling in love with the bull. Just anything. With his siblings, Zeus started a 10-year war against the Titans, which I mentioned earlier. And when he did that, he freed the Cyclops and the Hecaton shears. And with the help of the Cyclopses and the Hecaton shears, they were able to defeat the Titans, imprisoning them. And Zeus is featured in very many stories. Stories of his children, stories in his wife's story. Just a lot of stories. He made his presence known. Even if you're minding your own business, Zeus would be like, I'm important. You're not. So let me do what I want to do to you. Next is Poseidon. Poseidon was the god of the sea, horses, and earthquakes. He was married to a nymph, Amphitrite. They had several children together. Poseidon is the brother of Zeus, and much like Zeus, Poseidon also raped women. Because the gods just can't keep it in their pants. But he didn't do it as much as Zeus. He wasn't as terrible as Zeus. But, I mean, it's still a fucking terrible thing to do to someone. They just think they can do whatever they want. Anyways, he was the father to Perseus and a few others. Both the dolphins and horses were symbolic of Poseidon. He was often shown riding a chariot pulled by a hippocamp, a half-horse, half-fish creature. Poseidon was not known for being nice and loving like he's made out to be in Ariel or in a lot of movies. He's not made out to be this loving father. No, he's not. He is difficult, and for the punishments he doled out on his unsuspecting victims, the mortals and heroes. Before the ancient city of Athens was named, Poseidon wanted to be a patron to this city. And so the people who lived in the city had held a competition for the gods to win over the patrons. So Poseidon went up against Athena. And so in this contest, they both gave gifts to the townspeople. Zeus's gift was fresh water. So what he did is took his trident and slammed it on the ground. And up erupted a fresh stream of water where the townspeople would always have fresh water. I mean, and water is very important. So that was his gift. Athena's gift was their first olive tree. Not only would they have firewood, but they also could make oil from the olives, from the tree. The townspeople got to keep both of these gifts, mind you. So they chose Athena, giving Athens the name Athens. Poseidon was not too happy about this, so he continued to try to win over towns, and he lost. He lost again to Athena in another town, in another city. This time Zeus stepped in and was like, you know what? Both of you deserve to be patrons of this city. He tried again. He fought Hera for another city and lost. He just loses. But he doesn't give up. Does not give up. Finally, he fought the Titan Helios for another city and finally won. Poseidon, along with Apollo, built the walls around Troy, but later sent a monster to attack the walls because the king was ungrateful. So he's helpful, and then when he feels like he is being undermined or not worshipped enough, he will just take back what he did or be like, actually, you can't have that anymore. Actually, I am Poseidon. I will do with your city is what I want. I will do with your wife with what I want. Then Hades. Hades was the god of the underworld and wealth, the king and god of the dead. But the true god of the dead was Thanatos. But since Hades was the god of the underworld, people just associated him with being the god of the dead. He is also the god of wealth and riches. During the war against Kratos, the Cyclopses gifted him a helmet of invisibility, but it doesn't get mentioned that often, but it's pretty cool, you know, just become invisible whenever you want. But I mean, he's a god, so he could do that if you wanted to anyways. Hades was married to his niece Persephone, but he really just kidnapped her. Even though the origins of their story is sad and tragic, somehow it ended up pretty well for both of them. They ended up respecting each other, and some could even say they loved each other. Beyond kidnapping his wife, Hades was one of the least troubling of the gods. He was faithful to Persephone. I'm going to do my eyeliner off camera and I will be right back. All right. So, Hades really kept to himself in the underworld, like I said. He caused very little problems for the other gods. It's sad because Hades was made out to be a bad guy because he was the god of the underworld. But truly, Zeus is worse than him. Poseidon is worse than him. So, the underworld is sometimes referred to as Tartarus. I don't know how to pronounce that word, which is a specific spot in the underworld and is also often used to describe a place where any and all eternal punishments were placed. So that is where the Furies reside. Hades is often just shown riding a chariot of coal-black horses, which I think is pretty cool. I like Hades a lot. One of my faves. So, today we learned about Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus, and where it all started, how the Olympians took down their father and created the world of which we know today. So in my next video, I'm going to talk about Persephone and Heracles and Demeter. And we might get into Hera as well. Just depends on how long it takes me to do my makeup. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Let me do my last little touches. Right. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll be back next week with another video. Bye.